With 3.19 around the corner and currently in the hands of the Evocati and others, I figured I would give my 2 cents on a few things here that have been released that is sparking up a lot of controversy among the citizens around here. But we all know that controversy is not exactly a rare thing in the universe of Star Citizen. And whether you're for the changes or against them, you completely want to burn Star Citizen at the stake, or you have your flaming sword in hand and you're ready to protect them no matter what the cost. Your opinion is definitely respected here, and that's why I want to express mine. I definitely have a few opinions about this whole thing with the insurance changes. But before I get into that, I would like to state that I know I am a rather new Star Citizen creator, and you guys really don't know me, but I have been welcomed into the community, and I would really like to say thank you for the support. If you guys like the content that I make, or you agree with me, disagree with me, or whatever, if you would drop a like or a sub, that would be appreciated. And leave in the comments down below your thoughts on the whole subject here. Now, as far as Star Citizen goes as a game altogether, we all know that we are passionate about this game. I mean, look, you wouldn't be in the comment section of anybody's videos on YouTube or even on Twitch watching people play this game if you didn't love it. No matter if you hate the game, if you hate the patches, or if you love the game and protect it with all your might. We're all passionate about this game, and it's that passion that drives all the emotions that we have towards every single patch that is released for this game. But those opinions are usually broken. With each patch that comes out, there is always something amazing, but something that makes it unplayable. And I say usually because sometimes the game does something right and you just adore it. But with that being said, as far as this patch goes, 18 has been I'm just gonna say it's been a hell of a ride. I have struggled to get into the game. I have struggled to even play. Currently, I haven't been on for a week, and that's just because I keep dying in the med bed. I can't get out of it. But with that being said, I mean, there is something that just always pulls us back into Star Citizen. Whether we hate it or love it, or we get bored of it over time, we always come back, and that's why we're here. We've got to show support here and there, even if we have, all the hate in the world for what they're doing. We got to show some kind of support for something in the game, because eventually this game will become complete. Whether that is, a beautiful game for our grandchildren or something for us sooner than we think it's going to be. It's going to become something, and we're all going to be there to test it and find out. And hopefully the road to that will become a little bit smoother over time. But with 3.19 currently in the PTU for certain users and subscribers, there has been a few changes that have sparked a lot of controversy in the community, and that's what we're here today to talk about. I'll just let you guys know, in the current state of Star Citizen, there is very little risk to go out there and explore. Even if your ship explodes, you just gotta go reclaim it, pay a little bit of a fee, and wait a little bit for it to come back. If you lose your gear on your character, aside from something like a railgun or something, it's easily reacquired. You just hit a bunker, or you go to your local shop and buy everything back within seconds, and you're done. There's really no consequences to your actions in the game currently, but the new changes may change that quite a bit. I will begin by letting you guys know that I am almost 100% for the changes, but there are a few things that kind of needs a little bit of work before it becomes something that we will all enjoy. Or at least pretend that we enjoy. But we're going to start by talking about the new reclaim timers and prices. Now on the screen right now is the current, air quotes, new pricing sheets and stuff that is going to be coming to Star Citizen. It's currently in 3.19, I believe, but as you see, there is a significant increase to the amount of time it takes to reclaim your ship, whether it is a small ship or a big ships being a lot longer. And there is a increase to the price that it takes to reclaim your ship as well if you're going to expedite it. And I am 50-50 on this. On one hand, I actually do agree with having an increased price to be able to reclaim your ship, because over time, that's gonna, because we already have an immense amount of money floating around in the world. We have so much inflation every single patch to the point that we don't have anything to do with our money anymore. We're giving it away to everybody, and we already own all the ships by the end of the patch. So this is a very welcome change in my mind. But when it comes to the time it takes to reclaim, I mean, if you own a Carrack, you're pretty much screwed. But even if you own an 890 Jump, that is an insane amount of time to reclaim your ship, and I don't 100% agree with it. I think it should be slightly lower than that, maybe by like 25-30% of what it is, because I mean, even waiting an hour is a lifetime in a video game. We all know this, and there needs to be a balance between realism and, you know, knowing that we're playing a video game. Because, I mean, even if you're out there playing as a 100% respectable person in the universe, you sometimes get a crime stat. And if you end up in jail, we all know how long it takes to get out of jail, especially if you're in the higher CS rankings. And that is a little bit of a headache for a lot of people. The first couple times it's pretty fun because it's an experience, but it starts to get on your nerves after a while. So the increased timings on reclaiming your ships, in my opinion, is a bit over the top, and it needs a little bit of balancing. Hopefully, in time, they will balance it out to a reasonable state that we all can agree on. Now, if we circle back to the subject of high inflation in the current servers and the current state of the game, and also the low risk, high reward gameplay of the current state of Star Citizen, and then look at the current changes on 3.19 in the PTU with salvaging components off ships and the new insurance changes, we can definitely see that those risks and rewards are kind of going to flip upside down a little bit. Now, currently, yes, this is in the PTU, but we do not have the full knowledge of what this will become over time. There will be patches, there will be balancing, and they will take opinions into account, we hope. But with that being said, it seems as if some of the gameplay loops in this game are going to get a little bit thicker and, in my opinion, a lot more interesting, especially for larger orgs or even medium-sized orgs. I mean, solo gameplay will be a little bit of a struggle, but as long as you get a couple friends in there and start hauling some of the components that you salvage off ships and stuff and make a stockpile of them, you should be good. But then the question becomes, why do you need a stockpile on the ship components that you find out in the world, on the NPC ships or even player ships that you destroy? And that brings us to the 3.19 changes. Currently, we have a system in the game to where certain weapons for your character you cannot find unless you go out and scavenge them. Example, the railgun. It's very hard to find, and when you do find it, it is very valuable, and you can sell it for quite a good price depending on the server that you're on or the orgs that are currently in the game. Well, that same system that is on our current equipable guns is going to go to our ship components as well, and I do welcome that change because it would feel nice to go out there and know that I could possibly find a gun that is way more powerful than anything I can buy in the store that can only be found in this area. That in itself, as simple as it may seem, adds a lot of depth to the game for me myself, and it adds another gameplay loop to the game to where I need to go out and actually do things to become good instead of just flying to a store after making a lot of money and buying everything for my ship. Everything else is going to be a little bit more valuable for both solo players and for orgs. And whether you're a solo player or in an org or somewhere in between, this new gameplay loop, in my opinion, is going to create something beautiful for the game, at least in my opinion for now. And that new gameplay loop is going to be player-driven economies and interactions. It's something we really need in Star Citizen. It's a reason to talk to each other. But it will also create a lot more risk for the solo players out there and even the people just floating around with their friends doing their own thing, because with all the component hungry players that'll be in the universe, you are at risk to be destroyed just to see what you have. And I believe that makes things a little bit more interesting for the players, even if you do not like PvP, because it forces you to think about the situation that you're in, what components to bring with you, and whether or not it is safe for you to do the thing that you want to do. But what does that also mean? Well, the pirates out there that are continuously respawning currently and going after everybody and getting in big groups and pillaging and doing their pirate things, that means they really need to think about their consequences with who they attack and whether it's a good thing to do so. And if they do get destroyed, it's going to take them a little bit longer to get back to you, and whether or not they have the components left over in their stock to resupply their ship or not will depend on whether or not they're easier to defeat whenever they get back to you or not. These few changes all added together may seem small, but In my opinion, it creates a lot broader spectrum of gameplay in the otherwise brainless gameplay loop of Star Citizen. And don't get me wrong, I am a hardcore fanboy for Star Citizen. I love the game. It is beautiful, it is a lot of exploration and a lot of things that you can do in the game, and I love the potential that it has, but I mean, I still think it's a little brainless sometimes, you know? So adding something to actually think about every time you leave a space station or a port or go mining or go doing anything in the game, it's a very welcoming thing to me. Now you may be thinking, why does somebody need to worry about their stockpile of ship components or guns, you know, to equip themselves back up after they blow up? Well, with the new changes, apparently it's not going to be insured anymore. Your guns and your components, to a certain degree, will not be insured, and you will not get them back whenever your ship respawns. Now, we do not know the full spectrum of exactly what components are insured and what is not insured, but if nothing that you find in the world is insured, but they're all better, you really need to watch your back when you're out there in the universe. And it's that very thing where your components are not insured that is sparking a lot of controversy in the forums and on Reddit. And it is very merited, but in my opinion, I think it's a very good change for Star Citizen altogether. Because if you take other games into account, now these games that I'm going to say have nothing to do with Star Citizen and don't compare to them, but any other game that you play that has survival type looting aspects to it, whether it's something like a PvP game like Rust, or if you're playing DayZ, nothing is insured in those games and people still have a lot of fun. It's that risk that makes it fun and gives you that adrenaline rush whenever you actually accomplish something, and gives you something to build back up when you lose something, because we all need something to do in this universe, and adding some other layer of whether it's hard to do or whether it's something that is easy to do, another layer is very good for Star Citizen. Now, all these things mentioned together, they really don't mean a lot right now. Yes, they're going to make a lot of changes to our current gameplay loops that we have in the game, but it's not really going to change a lot until we fully see the spectrum of everything that they envisioned in the game later on in the future. One thing in mind is the new flight mechanics that are coming in. Whenever that fully comes into the game, that is going to really bring all of this together and make it more of a full experience for the Star Citizen players. My main concerns with the new insurance system and not being able to insure your components and weapons on a ship basically stems from some of the glitches that you have in the game and some of the things that really are not under your control. For instance, invisible asteroids that you run into, or, you know, hangar doors that look like they're open but they're not. You're going to explode out of your control. And that's a few of the little things in the game that I hope they balance over time and find a way, some sort of loophole to make it enjoyable. Because if you die without, you know, being able to control the situation, you should be able to get some of your stuff back at least. And I do know that there is one way that you can do that, and that is basically by hoping that you can make it back to your ship in time to just retrieve those things. That is another, you know, layer to the game that makes it a little bit more interesting, because in other survival games, if you die, you got to make it back to your loot. And that is a good thing to add to Star Citizen, because there needs to be higher risk. And that brings me back to one thing that I am extremely excited for with these changes to Star Citizen, and that is the fact that the NPC ships floating around the universe that you fight have a chance of giving you something extremely powerful, something that nobody else has, or, you know, probably doesn't have yet, and something that can give you an extreme advantage. And if you think about it, on the other side of that spectrum, the NPC ships are going to have more powerful components, thus making them hopefully a little bit more difficult to deal with and not as easy of a gameplay loop in, you know, bounties and stuff. So that is a welcome change to me as well. And it's also going to give the players a new reaction to all the demolished ships in the universe, all the ones floating in space, the ones on planet side, and everything. Instead of just flying past them, they have a reason to stop and check them out, because they might get lucky and find some cargo or some ship components that sell for a high price, or something that they could just simply use. But in the end, I do hope that all the ship components that you buy at all the different stores around the universe can be insured, because in the long run, that costs a lot of money to buy those things. And with that money being spent, it should be insured to us to get those back if our ship does explode. Yes, there'll be a little bit less, you know, powerful than the things that we can find in the universe, but at least we will have those things to not be a stock ship when we fly back out there to do our thing. But we all know in the long run that if all those things are insured, as far as the things that you can buy from shops go for your ship, we know that people out there will create the meta, showcasing the ships that are best to fly, easiest to equip, and most powerful with those loadouts. All in all though, in my opinion, I think they should just do it. I think they should just release this to the public servers and let everybody deal with it now. Whether you love it, whether you hate it, whether you have no opinion about it, just let it go out to the system, let everybody get used to it and see how it goes there, because that's when we're really going to see how things need to be changed. But with all that being said, this has been a few of my opinions on the current 3.19 patch in the PTU and everything looking forward. I'm excited for it, but I have a few doubts as well. I hope to see your opinions down below in the comment section. It really does brighten my day to be able to read those and see what you guys think about everything that has to do with Star Citizen. Again, I would like to say thank you for all the support and welcoming arms into the Star Citizen community. But with that being said, I'm going to head out of here, guys. Peace out.